Hey guys, it's your big dreamer and doer G Dinero coming to you today with another TA Tuesday. Today it is Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. We're going to dive into the charts here in just a second, but first remember, none of this is tax, legal, financial, investment advice. It's your buddy G Dinero helping you increase your financial literacy to help put you and your family on that path to financial freedom. So let's dig into the charts. All right, first we're going to start off with the Bitcoin TABI model as usual, and the model is currently light orange. It's been light orange now on and off for the last couple of months, with a little exception of some yellow, which is neutral. Remember, orange is slightly overheated. Not surprising, as we are making new all-time highs. We've been in a bull market now for a bit with Bitcoin. These models, some of these models I use, they're available over at Invest Answers. That's where this Bitcoin TABI model comes from. You'll also note that I put a couple of new things on here. That's the true market mean and the short-term holder cost basis. These I'm deriving from Check on Chain. He has a great suite of indicators out there, James Check from Check on Chain. True market mean is kind of the bottom basement, bargain basement that we could potentially pull back to in a bear market. Short-term holder cost basis, when we're above it, that's good. When we drop below it, that's a great buying opportunity and or could mark the end of the current rally. Okay, that's how to look at it. But we've been below it on other occasions, so it wouldn't be unusual to drop below it for a short period of time and right back up above it. So that short-term holder cost basis is at around $108,500, $108,500. Again, some of the other things that I'm looking at on here are the Meyer multiple. The Meyer multiple is just barely above 1, right? Starting to get over 2, we start to look at being overheated, but we're nowhere near over 2 right now. MVRVZ score, same thing, just barely above 2 at about the 2.4 level. That's gotten as high as 4, 6, 9 during blow-off tops. And last but not least, the historical volatility. Like we've talked about, the volatility has been crushed with Bitcoin up a little bit, excuse me, a little tick up over the last few days here, but nothing to write home about. Nothing like the historical volatility up over 50%. We've been down below 35 to 40% now for quite some time. So something to keep in mind, the volatility just hasn't really been there. If we look over here on the daily chart, this is looking at a strong uptrend that we've been in ever since April 7th. We are maintaining that uptrend. You can see here, we're still in this channel, moving our way up and to the right. If we zoom in a little bit over the last week or so, we see that we put in a new all-time high last Thursday, right? New all-time high of 124,533. You wouldn't think it by listening to the sentiment out there on the street. People are like, oh, the sky is falling. Bitcoin's all the way back down at $115,000, $116,000 today. Listen to what you're saying to yourself. That asset was $15,600 at the end of 2022. 23, 24, 25, not even 3 years later, and we're up at $116,000. Went from $16,000 to $116,000. Put on $100,000 worth of price action in less than 3 years, okay? What are we seeing on the daily chart? Seeing a little bit of a sell-off right here. Nothing to write home about, but definitely it peaked, pulled back, and it pulled back to this normal support zone that it's been finding. It says current resistance zone. That's because that's what we've been punching up against. We only broke through it and came right back down into it again. So we haven't convincingly turned it into support yet. Once we get up above this $125,000 level, that's the cup and handle, the weekly target that I've had on this chart for months, actually over a couple of years now. I wouldn't be surprised to see that get broken soon. Sometime this fall is what I see, getting up over 125.5. We are slightly mean reverted to the upside, coming off RSI almost being over 70 here with that pump that we had a couple of days ago. And you'll note that MACD did cross over to the downside. Typically, that is a selling signal, although we don't have a sell up here on the confluence model. Lastly, we're looking at global liquidity. I've put some lines in there, like where we've broken up above support or resistance, excuse me, back here on August 2nd of 2024. put in a new high, came back and retested that level a couple times. You can see it, broke back up, retested this level, turned it into support. Right now, we've been as high as 99.81, and we're kind of just going sideways right here with the liquidity. So liquidity has peaked. Typically, there's a delay. If you believe in the delay between the peak and when Bitcoin peaks, I've heard everything from 70 days up to 110 days, somewhere in that time frame. So 2 to 3 months, let's say. I'm a believer in that. So if it peaked here in July 1st, August, September, October 1st. So like I keep saying, I think we're going to see a very solid fall season with Bitcoin. Zooming into the 4-hour chart, 4-hour chart looks relatively the same. We just get a little bit more detail, right? We can get a little bit more granular with it. We can see that there was a great buying opportunity back here, back at the beginning of August. We also popped straight up, like I said, and put in a new all-time high at 124,533, and that was just last Wednesday, Thursday time frame. Here's that little sell signal. It does show up on the 4-hour chart. Remember, it didn't show up on the daily, but on the 4-hour chart, we came from being significantly mean reverted to the upside to now we're printing some green dots down here to the low side. We are supporting at and around the 50-day moving average. Yes, we wicked below it, but we're right there in that 50-day moving average. Note that we're right at the bottom of this resistance zone. Again, I've been drawing the resistance zone since back here at the beginning of July. So it's not like I all of a sudden just put this in because we pulled back to there. It helps me to know if we break below that, we could drop down to the next support zone like we did back here where we almost got to the top of the support zone. That would be the 100-day moving average at 111. That would be the top of the support zone at about 112. That support zone does extend all the way down to around 107,500. And there's your short-term holder cost basis right there. So again, typically access support in a bull market. Okay, so that's what I see to the downside. To the upside, we got the new all-time high to break out of. Solana Bitcoin pair. Every time I think I'm going to get excited about this one, it comes back and smacks us back in the face again. Every time it looked like it was going to break out. Here in May, we popped from being all the way down here at these lows. Those lows that you see there, those are multi-year lows. The last time we were that low was in November of 2023. Then again right here in April of this year and again in June of this year. So we've only hit those lows 3 times in the last couple of years. Then we popped up and got all the way up to what, 0.0018 almost, 0.0175 over here and 0.017 over here. We're having trouble breaking through that level. Once we get through that, it should be pretty smooth sailing straight back up to 0.002 to 0.0021. And if you look, if I back off here a little bit, you can see what I'm talking about. There's the resistance starting up here. There's very little volume on this pair that was traded in this zone here. Granted, this is only looking at it on Coinbase. It doesn't take into account the volume that's traded all over the world in other exchanges, people that sell Solana, wait a few days and then turn around and buy Bitcoin, right? Those types of things don't show up on here from a rotation standpoint. Only the people that are trading the Solana Bitcoin pair, but it gives us a good idea of when one is outperforming the other. Bitcoin has outperformed Solana over the last, really everywhere that you see that I just drew that arrow. This entire area right here with it sloping down like that, that's Bitcoin outperforming Solana. Once this turns to the upside, which I believe this is an inflection point right here, and we are starting this march upwards, this means Sol is outperforming Bitcoin. Okay, Solana is outperforming Bitcoin. That's how you interpret this chart. Right now, we are right back up on the 200-day moving average. You can see us right here supporting on the yellow line. We retested it from the downside, rejected, tested it here, broke out above it, and now resting on it. Would be great to see us turn that 200-day into support and stay above it moving forward. It would also, if this happens, cause this 50-day moving average to come up through the 200-day moving average. Also a bullish signal. Those of you who know what it is, drop it in the comments below. What is it called when the 50-day moving average crosses up through the 200-day moving average. We're going to move over to Solana right now. Going to move over to Solana. Solana, we've got, again, hitting up against resistance every time we get up near 210. That's our current resistance here on the daily. Also, if we take a look at the daily, we've been in a generalized uptrend. You can see here since the 2022 lows. This uptrend is still relatively intact. We do need to make a higher high up here, right? If we start making a series of lower highs, lower lows, then that means the regime shift has changed. I don't see that. I just see it more going sideways right now. There's a lot of, I do believe in the price suppression. I do wonder where Binance gets its Solana from when it says it doesn't have any on its personal balance sheet or the company balance sheet, but yet they're sending Solana over to Wintermute to sell off. Is there that many of their customers that want their Solana sold off, or is it they're taking customer funds and selling them off? I don't know. I don't want to spread rumors, but the price action on Solana is a bit surprising. Again, every time we get up here, and on the 4 hour, it's really crystal clear. You can see a spike up here to the 210 range. We'll call it 207, 208, call it 210. Sells off hard, right back down. Perfect perp opportunity right here. It's supporting on all the moving averages. Notice they all converge. The 50 came up through the 200. The 100-day moving average came up through the 200. All right where this buy signal is right here. You can see all of these converging, broke above it, retested it, off to the races. Perfect place to take an entry right here. Crystal clear signals on IADSS. We've got a green mean reversion dot. RSI was below 30. MACD crossover right here. Buy signal, bottom 1/3 of all the confluence clouds, supporting on all of the moving averages. I don't know what else to say. Perfect time to go ahead and take off and get into a perp trade or go long on Solana. Buy more Solana. And what did we get out of it? A great rally up from around 160, 165, straight up to 210. That is a significant move. If we want to put a number on it, from somewhere down here around where the moving averages are up to the peak, we're looking at a 30% move to the upside. So solid move in a little over a week and a half, call it, on Solana. All right, guys, I'm going to do something super quick. I'm going to interrupt regularly scheduled program and do something super quick. And just a shout out, a thank you to some of the top commenters on the videos that I've been putting out all the way since the beginning of the year, right? I've really stepped up the YouTube channel since the beginning of the year. These are some of the top commenters. Thank you very much. Spark 8005, Joe Biden's Daycare 275. Good to see that Jill let you out. Danny 8851, Get 94945, CCJ 56, Kung Fu Panda. So Sal Oliveri, producer, Chuck Rocks BTC, Charles King 9425, Rusted Woods 100, and Vina Sunshine. I may have missed a few people, but I went back and looked over the last couple of months. Who's been commenting the most? You guys are super consistent. I just want to put a shout out and say thank you very, very much. Feel free to reach out at any time and continue commenting on there. I'll continue responding to your comments. Really appreciate the support. So thanks, guys. All right, so moving right along into the MicroStrategy chart. Okay, MicroStrategy, guys, has been kind of weak the last couple of weeks or so, right? There's been a lot of confusion coming out of the latest earnings report where Michael Saylor initially talked about guidance on ATMing the common shares of stock. Now, the initial guidance was he would only ATM if it went over 2.5 on the MNAV. Then the guidance came out, well, if it's below 2.5 MNAV down to 1, he might, at the discretion of the company, in order to fulfill certain obligations like debt obligations on the convertible debt, the interest payments, so to speak, and or the dividend payments on the preferreds, he might sell ATM in order to fulfill those needs. Then he came out and revised it and said he may sell it at the company's discretion. He added a third point in. That caused a lot of consternation across X. People like Josh Mann losing his proverbial you-know-what over it. But I still think about it in the long run. They have all those other debt instruments. They have those preferred shares that they can use to raise money at will, right? There is a huge untapped market there for that cash that could be used at will to turn around and go buy more Bitcoin, which adds sats per share and effectively lowers the MNAV even further. So I don't see an area where he's going to want to hit the ATM while he still has those other debt instruments at his disposal. Eventually, that NAV premium will come back. As the volatility increases in Bitcoin again, there'll be more volatility again in strategy. And as the volatility comes back, you'll see that premium start to spike back up again. At least that's what I believe will happen. Currently, the MNAV is somewhere between 1.4 and 1.57, very, very low. You'll note that we've been in a relative uptrend since the March the 10th. And we're still in that uptrend right now, but boy, we're right at the bottom of the channel that we've been in. If we were to get back up to an MNAV of 2 right now, we're talking $458 a share, right? You can see when we've gotten up close to that MNAV of 2, we've turned around and popped right back down again. We've gone above it, came right back below it, came up to it, came back down below it. So right now, MNAV is relatively low. If we come over here onto the 4-hour chart, you can see we're mean reverted pretty hard to the downside. Not the furthest we've been, but definitely mean reverted close to 1 standard deviation to the downside. RSI almost got back down to 70 again. It's probably 71 or 72 is what we hit here. Notice MAC is down, but is about to cross over. It looks like we're going to support on the 200-day moving average. No, that's not hope, because I know hope is not a strategy. It just makes sense that we would support on this zone. There's a large pocket of volume, a lot of people in that 350 range. So that range will get defended pretty solidly. You'll note that we're, again, at the bottom of the range that we've been trading in, the linear regression channel. We did lose the 100-day moving average right here. So we are slightly below that 100-day moving average. It is currently, as we speak, let's put an actual number on it. It's around 376, and the current share price is at 361, starting to come back up just a little bit. So what do I anticipate? I anticipate we start to see this turn back up. We regain the 100-day moving average. Next up would be to get back up above the 50-day moving average, as well as this 50% fib level, which is right here about 385, okay? That's all the way up until we get up to about 405. Then once we break above that, we go into a new set of resistance from 425 to 450. So that's what our path looks like to the upside. How fast can it rip through that? Well, look what it did back here. It ripped through it pretty darn quickly once it took off. There's a lot of short interest on MicroStrategy. A lot of people betting against what they're doing. That's holding the price down right now. I anticipate those people are going to lose their shorts, their proverbial short soon, pun intended. Tesla, on the Tesla daily chart, I did switch. You guys will note that I did switch the linear regression channel. I had us in a downward channel. I believe that the low that we saw here on April 7th will be the low. I don't anticipate making a lower low than that. So I anticipate that this was what I call like a regime shift. We were going down and now we're going back up. I'm exaggerating that a little bit just so you can see what I'm talking about. So this was an inflection point here where we were no longer going up and we started to go down. This is an inflection point here where we're now starting to go up and no longer going down. Okay, so those are the two inflection points that I see right now. We're really just treading water, going sideways with Tesla. A lot of great things in the works down the road. You know, robo-taxis ramping up. The Megapack business is ramping up. Optimus is looking optimal for next year, the year thereafter. So there's a lot of things coming down the road. If we go over to the 4-hour chart, you can see over here on the 4-hour chart, really we're putting in what looks to be a bit of a bull flag right here. If I were to draw it crudely, you've got a flag pole like this, and you've got the flag like that, right? So that's a bull flag. Typically, those will break out to the upside about the distance of the pole. The pole goes from, call it 360 down to 215. So 45, 145 points. So if you add 145 points onto this, we're up at close to 500, I think, as the target. I don't want to build hopium on that. It's still early to see if that's true. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got to break through this 350, 360 level. It's been tough. It's been a battle that we've been battling here for a while. It's been support and resistance since late 2024 and early 2025. That's why I have the white line on there, kind of the line in the sand. Once we finally break above that, we're back up to 380 to 400 in no time. But getting through this, something has to come out, some big news or catalyst. It can't just be a promise of what's to come in the future. It needs to be reality right now. That's how Wall Street works. They like to see it right now. So we're coming off of being mean reverted to the upside, solid sell signal right there. We were over 70 on the RSI and the MACD crossed over right here. You also note that we got a sell signal on the confluence and then the trend flipped. We went back down and supported perfectly. Great retest right here of the 200-day moving average. And now just pretty much going sideways, right? Not spiking up, not pulling back any further, just a little more consolidation here on Tesla. We kind of went over where the next couple moves could be. Nvidia, the gift that keeps on giving, just keeps going up and to the right. That's one of the tightest linear regression channels I've ever seen in my life. 0.985. The highest it can be is 1. And it's 0.985. Most linear regression channels are in the 70 to 80 Pearson's coefficient range. That's just how tightly they follow that linear regression pattern, I should say. It's not a perfect science, but gosh, this thing, that's about as good as you're ever going to see. The trend is starting to thin out a little bit, and we are starting to see resistance at this 180 level. It's not just spiking right back up, but we did thin out back here at the 145, 150 level for a while. And then boom, the trend continued upwards. You can see it a lot better here on the 4-hour chart. You can see the trend expands and contracts, expands and contracts. All we've seen are red mean reversion dots. So we've only been overbought since April 24th, 2025. Yes, RSI has shown that we've been oversold a couple of times, once here, where we dropped below that 50% level, but it wasn't enough to change the mean reversion model down to the downside. We almost mean reverted. I bet we did. If I looked really carefully right here, I bet we're just slightly mean reverted to the downside, but I don't know if I'm going to count. Yeah, we're minus 0.0159. That's it. And we spent like 2 candles there. So we did finally mean revert to the downside, but barely on this little pullback. Notice that we're supporting right here, right around this 180 level and just going sideways, consolidating there. That's healthy. And it is near the lower end of a very tight linear regression range. To the upside, we've got a breakout of 184. To the downside, we've got support here at the 180 level. You can see it, this green bar that I put in, the current support zone. Below that, the 50-day moving average at 165. All the way down here is the 100-day at 142. And the 200-day is at 137. A lot of distance between us and the 200-day moving average when it comes to Nvidia. If we come over here to the MicroStrategy Tesla pair, we are near the bottom. We are down at the 200-day average of this pair. Again, remember the 200-day is just something that gets created as a result of a pair that I made. This isn't a pair that exists, that you've got to create this on your own, so to speak, in TradingView. But this level down here, we haven't been down at that level since back here near the end of June. And then before that, it was near the end of May. So every time we've been down at this level, it's rocketed up and rebounded up from these levels. Do we do that again this time? I believe the answer is yes. I believe that MicroStrategy has been beat up over the last month or so. That's what caused this to go down. Up here, great MicroStrategy to Tesla trade. Anything over 1.4 is a great MicroStrategy to Tesla trade. It's shaping up to be. And anything down here below this 1.15 level that you see, which is the 50% fib level, anytime we've dropped below that line, we haven't spent much time below it before jumping right back up again. So just a few tools you can use. Remember, I've gone over this before with you guys. There's a million different things you can use. You can use the position of the asset in the confluence clouds. You can use the buy and sell signals. You can use Fibonacci sequence. You can use a linear regression channel. You can use the moving averages. You can use the mean reversion down here. You can use the trend flip, or you could combine whatever ones of those you like the most in order to help you be able to trade this pair successfully. MicroStrategy IBIT, I'm going to throw that one in. It's just a little extra here. That's technically the MicroStrategy Bitcoin Arb trade. You'll note I have Arb Cloud on the right-hand side. I have a MicroStrategy IBIT pairing on the left-hand side. Yeah, I traded 100 IBIT for 18 MicroStrategy right here. So we'll see how that works out, because I believe we're near the bottom of the range. Again, if you notice this white line that I drew across here, every time we've been down there, we've bounced off of it. We dropped below it and gained right back above it. Dropped down to that white line, above it. Down to the white line, above it. Didn't even make it to the white line here, pumped up. Came down almost to the white line, got to the white line here. Do we do the same thing again? In which case, that means that I went from IBIT to MicroStrategy down here on these buy signals, on these green mean reversions. If the MicroStrategy premium comes back and MicroStrategy spikes relative to Bitcoin's price, that would be the MNAV expanding, right? MNAV is very low on MicroStrategy right now, so there's not much of a premium to the amount of Bitcoin they hold. As that premium expands, you'll see this happen on the chart. You'll see MicroStrategy outperforming IBIT. That's the beta that MicroStrategy adds on top of the Bitcoin alpha. And again, I'm using IBIT as my Bitcoin proxy here because it's easily tradable in a traditional IRA, in a Roth IRA, so I can trade back and forth all day at will and not have to worry about taxes. On the right-hand side, you'll see the Arb Cloud. I do have the Arb Cloud set to neutral. Okay, so intrinsic value of $1 billion, $1.2 billion, somewhere thereabouts. Length I leave on 45, tightness on neutral. And what you'll see here is we are out the bottom of the confluence, out the bottom of the Arb Cloud. Anytime we've been out the bottom of the Arb Cloud, that is a great opportunity to go from IBIT or Bitcoin into MicroStrategy. When we're out the top of the cloud, like you see over here, that's a great opportunity to go from MicroStrategy back into IBIT. Look at where that was over here on the chart. Notice how the cursor is in the same position on both charts. Here, we're out of the top of the cloud. Here, we're at the top of all the confluence clouds and we're mean reverted to the upside. Down here, we're below the cloud and we're significantly mean reverted to the downside with buy signals over here on the pair chart. Over here, we're out the top of the cloud. We're significantly mean reverted to the upside. Over on this chart, sure enough, we're up at the top of the confluence cloud. So whether you're using IADSS with the confluence cloud or you're using the Arb Cloud over here, you're getting the same information. It realistically is the same information at the end of the day. It's strategy's performance relative to the Bitcoin they hold on their balance sheet. I've got the strike, strive, strife, and stretch all on this chart right here. I did put these letters in because it was starting to get confusing as to which one was which. So what you'll notice is the premium on the STRK has compressed. It's down to $101.60. Remember, this guy over here hit a high of 133 back when everybody thought, wow, I'll be able to convert 10 of my STRK shares into one MicroStrategy share. And so once it gets over $1,000 a share, I'm in the money with these things. That's the belief that that's going to happen sooner rather than later back here. What happened? Well, it seems like that MicroStrategy may not get over 1,000. And if it doesn't get over 1,000, then what's the benefit of holding STRK and its convertibility into 10 to 1 into one share of MicroStrategy for every 10 STRK or strike shares? What's the benefit of holding that if we don't make it to over $1,000 a share on MicroStrategy? It only pays out an 8%. It's lower on the capital stack than things like STRF and STRC are. So that's why you see that premium, as I'm calling it, compressing back down towards a par value of 100, in my opinion. STRF, on the other hand, has pulled back a little bit, but it still does offer that premium that it's at the top of the capital stack. It is a 10% instead of an 8% dividend. It gives people a little bit of exposure to the Bitcoin world without them even knowing it. They're basically in a preferred share that's backed by Bitcoin that gets paid out because of Bitcoin and gets paid out because of the performance more than anything of MicroStrategy relative to Bitcoin. STRD, that one's, it's failing to really take off. I think that's the variable one. They may or may not pay a dividend. I do believe they're going to pay a dividend this next upcoming time that they would. It would be in their best interest because it would show good faith on the company side, and they have the money to be able to pay out the dividend. And then STRC, that's the new one. That's the one that you've heard me talking a lot about. That's my new savings account. It got close to par value and then pulled back. So the way I look at it right now, every share that I buy, I'm buying at almost a 4.5% discount right now. So if it only went back up to par value, which is 100, from 95.85, I've already made $4.15 a share. So 4.15% on top of whatever they're going to pay me in the dividend. The dividend was announced here. You'll notice that it was an 80-cent dividend. 80-cent dividend. So normally it would be a 75 cents per share dividend. Why is it higher? Because we weren't at par value. So at the date the dividend was announced, we were only up here around $98 a share. I believe that's also what caused this to drop off. People held it through the dividend date, then sold their shares. They'll still collect their dividend on August the 31st and then reinvest everything then. Because once those dividends reinvest, anybody that's on a dividend reinvestment program, once those things hit, wow, it's going to cause this thing to start going back up again. That's what happened to all the other ones. Once they paid out a dividend, if I look back here at where the dividend was paid, dropped off. Let me do this so they all switch. Dividend was paid, drop off, bang, went off to the races. Dividend paid, drop off, bang, went off to the races. And notice this is when the dividend is announced. It's paid at the end of the month. So if I slide over, there's June 30th. All those dividends reinvested, that caused a tremendous buying pressure of STRK and STRF, causing them to go to the moon. Will the similar thing happen right now with STRC over here? To be determined, The rotation model said to go over into MicroStrategy over here. I had already done it anyway on these last two moves, so I don't have anything else to move over to MicroStrategy, but right now that's the third MicroStrategy signal in a row. It should be due to taking off anytime soon. All right, this was a long one. Lots of action-packed information in there. Remember, if you like this, make sure you like the video. Comment below. What did you like? What did you learn best? What would you like to see more of? Make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. Share the subscription out to your friends and family so that they can become more financially literate as well. I'd really appreciate that. I don't ask for that part very often, but I think the more it gets shared, the better off that the content will be, because I'll be able to continue making more and more content. Remember, guys, I teach on TradingView and technical analysis. I talked a lot today about a lot of different indicators, not only the Invest Answers or IADSS suite of indicators, but also a lot of the free and built-in things that are right there in TradingView for you to use. If you don't know how to use TradingView very well, you're going to struggle with your trading. It's a given, okay? So make sure you sign up for the TradingView and technical analysis course that I teach. I also teach a course called Understanding Options if you want to learn more about options. I do have a limited number of one-on-one appointments available. All that is available at gdinerocoaching.com. And finally, remember, I'm G Dinero. I'm here to help you increase your financial literacy to help put you and your family on that path to financial freedom. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next time.